is Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm Angela Yee, and I'm really excited to have some special guests here today with me from Prudential. All right, so let's go around the room. We have Shané Harris.
Hello.
We have Gayle Hawkins.
Hello.
And we have, are you John Garrison?
No, I'm Brian Taylor.
I was like, why do they have John Garrison? I was like, you're not John Garrison. All right, Brian. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. So what we're talking about is the Brick City Classic and Prudential's involvement with that, and also with HBCUs in general. All right, so did all of you go to an HBCU?
Unfortunately, I didn't have the privilege to be able to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a proud graduate of Hampton University, class of 94.
Okay.
Over 8.
I'm a Hampton grad as well. She's going to drop out that Ogre 8. I'm Onyx 2, class of 93, Hampton alum as well.
So Shané and I did not go to HBCUs.
I know. We missed out.
No, we definitely did. And I was actually reading a report recently about how enrollment is up more than ever and attention being paid to HBCUs is at an all-time high.
Excellent.
So let's discuss that and why you think that is.
Well, I think we know that HBCUs work, particularly for Black students and people of color. The nurturing environment and statistics have demonstrated that if you want Black people to kind of have a pathway to economic opportunity, HBCUs have a proven track record of demonstrating that for our community.
And for Brian and Gayle, what do you guys think you got at an HBCU that you wouldn't have gotten anywhere else?
I think for me, I look back at my Hampton education, I realized that was the foundation of who I become as a man. I think it prepared me professionally, it prepared me socially, it prepared me just individually of how I want to excel in life. I mean, it gave me a great foundation athletically, but also academically, which is most important. Because I had the privilege of playing a sport as well as going to school. And I think that the friends I have today were founded in my Hampton background, meeting them as freshmen and continuing those lifelong relationships. And we've stayed friends through life.
What sport?
I played basketball.
Okay.
I was on the 1991 CIAA championship team.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's give it up. Life flex. Okay.
But you know, and that's funny because my teammates, we still have a group chat to this day. We text every morning from good morning to good night all day long. And that goes back to our foundation of Hampton being the common denominator, where we all love it. We all stay together. And the thing is, as I've grown professionally and personally, I have friends that went to other HBCUs, and we give a simple head nod like, you know what's up.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's Hampton, Howard, Morehouse, Spelman. We all had a very similar background and foundation.
And one of the things I agree with everything that Brian has said. We were actually at Hampton together, one class apart.
And now y'all work together. That's amazing.
Yes. And one of the things I have to say, I'm originally from Los Angeles. And just to see that the fact that I moved from L.A. to Virginia, had never seen the campus, one of the things I consider is basically as a family environment. And they really do breed confidence into you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the friends that you have from freshman year up into adulthood, I'm now godparents. They're literally their children like nieces and nephews. But at the same point in time, I learned so much about the diversity of the Black community within itself. No one is the same.
Right.
So
That's
different
right.
economics,
At all, yeah.
different life experiences. And also that also fed me as well, and I was able to feed them as other individuals as well. Yeah. So just the commonalities of as we grow, yes, all the HBCUs, we are considered to be a whole united family, but Hampton is very special. We were speaking earlier, our freshman year, we do have some strict rules, and they still apply now.
I was just right before we started recording, we were talking about that. Y'all had curfew as freshmen, and then you couldn't have any opposite sex, like overnight guests and things like that.
True.
No visitation.
Curfew
at 11 o'clock.
But I think that also built a lot of character and discipline. And so our freshman year, we had a curfew, I believe it was 11 o'clock. But also, as was mentioned earlier, that's all a level of bonding. So those relationships, your dorm sisters, and that's also in the dormitories with the gentlemen, they'll build relationships over time.
Right.
And their sisters and family to this very day.
And I will say, all of y'all that went to, because our boss, actually, Thea Mitchum, she went to Hampton as well. One of my best friends, I'm her son's godmother, she went to Hampton. And I was saying, before I even went to my college, I was with her when she was going to Hampton because they had to go to school earlier than we did. Yeah. So I spent some time on campus with her, and I was like, y'all are having a good time, but also just really smart. Like even Jasmine, right? Jasmine Brand, who works up here with me, she went to Morgan State.
Okay.
And then my business partner, he went to an HBCU with my coffee company and everything. So there's just something definitely very special about alumni and students who have gone and attended HBCUs. And one of the main things they said they found in doing this study that I was saying earlier is that the number one reason why students choose an HBCU is this whole feeling of family and belonging.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've had the experience of doing both. I did graduate work at a PWI, and then I had Hampton. I've never even gone back on campus so I went to grad school, to the point that I don't even talk
You're
about
not
it
even
that
mentioning
often.
the
I don't
name
even
of
mention
school. He said it's a PWI. That's all you need to know.
and you go back to it. I just remember how our professors prepared us. There was no excuses. There was no shortcuts. They always taught us to be the best at everything we do. And that carried over into life. That's what I meant by the foundation that I had, that it made me the man that I am today, because I had to understand work ethic. I had to understand being accountable. I had to understand how to communicate with others, communicate with my brothers, communicate with my sisters, talk to different people. And I think all that started at Hampton. And then it was the family bond that we had. I mean, I can go to and I travel a lot for my job, but I can go to anywhere in this country and find the city and find the Hampton alum. Hey, say I'm in town, hit me up, and we link up, and then we get together. And just, even if it's just to say hello, or if it's sitting down and breaking bread together over dinner or a cocktail that night.
But you do that with Howard alumni too.
I will do it with Howard
Okay,
alumni.
just checking.
they always want to battle. What's
Y'all
the
got
real
the friendliest
HU?
competition ever. but what I love, it is like competitive, but it's also all family still at the end of the
Yes.
day. It is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the Brick City Classic, because that's happening this weekend.
Yes.
Yes.
And what is Prudential's involvement? What's the Brick City Classic? Let's talk about who's playing.
Well, we are proud to be lead sponsors of the Brick City Classic, and this is something I am so excited about. I am a Newark native, so
Okay.
I
Talk about
remember this being an annual thing that occurred in the Northeast, and really excited to have this coming back to the city
Yes.
and to the community, and we're really looking forward to being lifelong partners.
Prudential does a lot in Newark too.
Oh, yes.
Period. Because
Yes.
I feel like when I think of Prudential, I think of Newark.
Oh, well, it's our DNA. We were headquartered in Prudential. We got our founding in the city of Newark. And because we see ourselves as an anchor institution, we've had a decades-long commitment to the city and making sure the city thrived. So there's a real connection to community. And, we invest a lot of dollars in the community to make sure it remains thriving and strong.
So for us, I was on the team that brought the game back. And I think it was important for us when we brought the Classic. We wanted to reestablish the Northeast as one of the meccas of black college football.
Okay.
Because like Shané said, years ago, there was the Whitney M. Young Classic that
Yes.
took place at Giant Stadium. And it started with Grambling. And so when we brought this back, we said, what are two iconic programs that have a presence in the Northeast? And why not bring Grambling? And obviously, we talked about Hampton so much love earlier, but Hampton is an iconic program. And Hampton used to play here every year.
Right.
The game stopped in about 2015, and we said, okay, it's time to bring it back. Because,
I remember those games.
and they would be there. They were staples. Everybody in the community knew what weekend it was and when we were going. But now in 2023, we have high school students that don't know about black college sports.
Right.
And it's not just about the game. We're using a vehicle to raise awareness about HBCUs, raise awareness of what we can do locally, raise awareness where we want to partner with Prudentials. How can we impact our community? And Newark is a staple. I grew up in East Orange. And Newark, Prudential is the staple organization, staple company in the city of Newark. And so we were intentional about wanting to bring this and bring it to Brick City.
And for all of our people in East Orange, he went to Clifford Scott. So
Yep.
he will also welcome you into his home if you've gone to Clifford Scott as well.
Absolutely. Class 89. I probably shouldn't say that over the air, but
Hey, black don't crack. It's okay. We love it. So I got to ask you, Shané, who you got in this game?
Hampton, of course.
I just want to make sure.
Exactly.
Just want to, not
Yes.
just because they're here, right? Okay.
No, not just because they're here. One, I have a number of friends and family that graduated from Hampton. So we have a pretty strong bench that's on the Hampton side. But also, the sponsorship between Prudential and this event was a no-brainer because we've had a long time history with Hampton University. So we have that deep connection with the company and the school, and it's just great to be able to bring this together.
And it's not just the Brick City Classic. Prudential does a lot for HBCUs. So I want to make sure that we talk about that too, because sometimes people aren't even aware of certain grants that are available to them or programs or even being recruited to come work at Prudential once they graduate.
Yes, so
true.
we see HBCUs as a pathway to economic opportunity. And when you think about the talent that comes out of HBCUs, we talked a lot about the nurturing environment. Those students are more confident, more prepared, and ready. And, it's a natural kind of alignment for us to see HBCUs as a magnet for a talent pipeline. But in addition to that, we think HBCUs actually create economic opportunity in the Black community, and we're really committed to that through our work.
How can people find out information if they're like, okay, what about opportunities at Prudential? I know you guys had a micro grant program, too, that you have been doing.
So we do a number of things. I think the first way to find out more information about our community investments is to go to prudential.com. And, on the site, there's information on our commitment to Newark, but also other things that we support. And, when we talk about, the work that we're doing, we really focus on helping people to build wealth.
Yes.
Build assets, and really connecting access to quality employment to actually wealth building strategies. We want more people, particularly in the Black community, to have access to tools and solutions that help them build wealth.
I saw Robert F. Smith, I believe he had announced something, I think last year, that he was doing as far as helping HBCU students with investing.
Absolutely. We were really proud to partner with his organization, the Student Freedom Initiative, to provide 500 HBCU students with opportunities to learn about investments. Prudential provided some seed funding to allow them to start really building that skill of investing and also helping them to build wealth. And we did that partnership with Stackwell.
And I think that's important, too, because I remember believing once I graduated from college and I had all these student loans that I couldn't invest, right? Because I had bills I needed to take care of. I had to live day to day. I had to pay my rent and I had to pay my student loans. And it wasn't until later when I was probably about almost 30 that I finally started my own investment fund. And I feel like if I would have had the opportunity to have that earlier and see my money grow, I would have felt more confident in being able to invest and also educate myself more on what it is that I needed to do. But no one had ever discussed that with me.
Sure. Again, my name is Gayle Hawkins. I'm a financial advisor with Prudential. I've been with Prudential for 11 years, but 26 years in financial services. My background is in investment banking, as well as equity capital markets and wealth management. And with my background, along with life experiences, I like to work with individuals coming right out of college. So I work with, I say barbecue to banquet, people that are starting off in their financial questioning of what they should do short-term, mid-term, and long-term. But then also work with experienced individuals that are highly seasoned. And they're also working with things that are more conflict, dealing with retirement planning, blending of families. So that's something that is very interesting when I'm talking with clients. I will say 90% of my book of business is women, 10% is 10, but that's growing. But I have a targeted market because currently right now, here in the United States, but also globally, more women are making more money, but we also have financial decision making that we're doing, and we have to be more serious. I also make mention of the fact that I have an analogy. We all have traveled on a plane. We might leave from New York, and our final destination might be in California. But we also know that when you get on a plane, they always tell you to put the face mask on yourself.
Yeah.
And then with that, you can help children.
First, yeah.
Then you can help everyone else. And so one of the things with the relationship that I have with my individual clients and things that I give advice to other individuals that I might not even work with is basically take the time to focus on yourself so that you can help with others. We also recognize that you're going to have turbulence along the way. Unemployment.
COVID.
Yes.
Unexpected things that can happen.
So when you're talking with someone, many people tend to think that you have to have a lot of money to have an advisor.
That's what I used to think.
It's not a luxury. It's supposed to be accessible to everyone.
Right.
And so when I'm talking with individuals, one of the things that I want to meet them where they are, I want them to feel comfortable. Because remember, you're talking about something that's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
So just an example I was sharing earlier, I was talking with a new client. This is his first time being married, but his wife has been married several times. So we're talking about beneficiaries. So it's also a blending of families.
Right.
How should that be allocated? And let's have an honest conversation. This might be something he might not even have spoken with his wife or children, but it's a real conversation that because I have a relationship with him, I can give him the pros and the cons, but also want to know really if something actually happens to him. Even though I'm talking with a guy named John, for example, I'm looking at his wife and his children because I want to make sure that every question that I'm asking and our potential plan that we're putting together, just in case of his absence, because it will happen.
Right.
That when I'm speaking before your wife and children, that I'm answering every question and I did everything that I could to make their lives a little bit better financially.
Yeah, we've seen that happen way too many
Happens,
times.
absolutely.
When
Absolutely.
something happens and everybody's figuring out, like, fighting over money.
Yes.
Sometimes people falling out. I've seen family members not speak to each other anymore over that, and it can be so much worse. We're already dealing with a loss.
Absolutely.
But now we have to deal with this financial, questions and things going on and arguments and who's taking care of this, who's taking care of that. Well, why do you think you deserve this? And people saying, well, I was told this. If people don't have that in order,
Yes.
it can be chaos.
And I would
Finances.
like to add, within financial planning, there's 3, you can build a board of directors. You don't have to do everything by yourself. So for example, it's important to ask for help because you don't know everything, but it's important to have an accountant. We all do our taxes, I'm assuming. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You have
We
an
better.
accountant, so that's a person that's a part of your board of directors. You also, even though you have an attorney, you have access to an attorney to ask legal questions. But then, of course, you have a financial advisors. Those 3 people are basically a part of your tribe. And basically, they can also speak for you when you're not in a position to speak for yourself. And so various tools, wills, and things like that need to be in place. But having those conversations is a very vulnerable conversation. It's also about timing. And when I talk to individuals, when you're interviewing for a financial advisor, they're also interviewing. You has to be a correct fit.
Right.
Because it's a relationship.
Yeah.
Over time, I've seen divorces, marriages, children.
And you need to trust.
Bankruptcy, you have to be able to trust
Yes.
that individual. So it's about it's relationship building over time.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, financial planning and financial literacy is important. We've all seen relationships that are self-destruct or deteriorate because of money.
Yes.
And whether
Yes.
it be personal,
Yes.
friends owing friends money, whether it be marriages,
Yes.
It's
partnerships. Money is a great destroyer of relationships.
One of the number one reasons for divorce.
Absolutely. And I think that it's important, like you said, you thought you had to have a certain amount of money before you can get with a financial advisor. I too thought that. I too thought that I needed to have a certain level because you hear these stories of you need to have a net worth of XYZ dollars before you can talk. But you can talk earlier. I had my financial advisor reach out to my brother, and he helped it, and they helped him out, and they helped him help plan as he was going through some things in life. And I think it's important that you make those plans today so that you can ensure your future of tomorrow. And I think that so if you have that, unexpected travesty or adversity, like we said, COVID or whatever comes up, or if the stock market drops or you're trying to sell a home, that you have some type of financial backing. But at the core, you got to have the financial literacy to understand.
And some people have trust issues too.
Yes.
They feel like,
absolutely.
how can I trust this person? I don't want to let this person have access to what I have. And you can let people see it and not have access to it.
Absolutely.
That's
So
right.
that's what I do with my accountant. He can actually see what's going on in my account, but he can't take money out or pay for anything or do anything like that. He can just see what transactions are happening so that when it's time to do my taxes,
Sure.
we're on top of it.
You're in total control, and that's important to do that.
Yes.
And again, that's even why when we started the game, thought about the classic was to say, who can we partner with? And we know the work that Prudential's doing for the community, and it really is about our community. And it's inspiring to hear Gayle say that most of her clients are females, but I know she could probably expound upon that and say it's mostly for the Black and brown communities.
Right.
That's
That
where
is
most of
correct.
her clients are coming
Right.
from. So we're dealing with a corporation that's investing in the Black and brown communities and making sure that we have the financial literacy so that we can increase wealth within our own community.
Yeah, I've done several things at the Prudential headquarters. So, and I was telling you guys, I'll be there again for an event with Digital Undivided, and I'll be there as a judge. And this is for Black and Latino women business owners.
Yes,
And so
yes.
it's about entrepreneurship as they're giving these women grants for their businesses, but also coaching because that's important too.
Excellent.
Yes, and we were really excited to bring that program to the city of Newark. So it's great. And I think, when we talk about building wealth, there are lots of pathways to do that. whether owning your own business and making sure there's opportunity there, or some of the wealth building strategies that Gayle talked about. And, you know, one of the things that we're excited to announce and introduce to the community is a new campaign called Blueprints to Black Wealth.
Okay.
And it is really focused on making that connection point, because there is so much information out there that people just need to be connected to, and also to understand that this is attainable for everyone.
That's right.
Particularly if we start earlier. So we have provided resources and support, everything from, you know, meeting you where you are on your financial journey. So if you're just getting started, there's information and connections that we can connect in terms of resources there, to, you know, as you're on your journey and you have more needs and more complexity, and the idea of being able to connect to a financial professional to support you, we think is a really critical thing for the Black community to do.
Right. I mean, that confidence is important too, because money isn't like our attachment to money can be a very emotional thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I know from many of my friends and myself, we didn't have money growing up. And so you always feel like, I just got to stack my money in the bank. I got to just do this. I got to make sure in case something happens, this could all go away. And we get so nervous about things like that, that sometimes it's scary to invest.
And
right?
Angela, it's very interesting. I always say that money is not a tangible good if it cannot be put to use. It's just a piece of paper. It's the thought process behind it. It's the planning, short term, midterm, and long term. And you have to do it with a partner.
Right.
Because sometimes people don't know what to do with it, so they do nothing at all.
Yeah, and
Right.
that's the worst.
Something called the beauty of compounding interest over time. Save early and save often.
Right, because the money that you get just letting your money sit in the bank is nothing compared to if you invest that money.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Nothing compared. Just like Gayle was talking about, compounding interest.
Compounding interest over
it
time.
grows
Save
over
early,
time.
save often.
And even when it comes to HBCUs and you guys partnering for that, I also think it's important seeing everything that's happening with our education system, what's happening in Florida, right, where they're trying to erase our history and say that, oh, well, you know, slavery wasn't so bad. They had a chance. I mean, it's ridiculous, the things that we're seeing happening. That's why it's really important for us to be able to take that power back. And also, I mean, it's a shame, and we should never have that happening, and we have to make sure we fight that politically. But I also feel like it is up to us to also, at the same time, simultaneously educate each other and ourselves. And HBCUs are really important in that aspect, too.
I think what you said earlier was, we started this interview off with, why do you see the rise? And I think that you're seeing a rise in HBCUs because of some of the things that are happening across the country. Over the last 4 to 8 years, our young Black students are saying, I want to go where I feel like I'm at home.
Right.
Like you said, in Florida, there's no reason why we should be talking about slavery was a good thing for anybody. What benefit can we get out of that?
There was a place to
ridiculous.
stay. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Nothing we can get out of that. And then we see all the affirmative action laws starting to change. And we have documented proof that says that other schools, when they eliminated affirmative action, the minority enrollments went significantly down.
Yeah.
Well, we know those students that don't go to those schools now have homes at HBCUs, and you see enrollment going up. So why wouldn't you go someplace where you're going to get a top-notch education, you're going to have a tremendous social aspect to college, because that's part of college.
That is definitely part of it.
We act like it's not, but socially we do want to thrive and prepare ourselves for the professional world where we can go to companies like Prudential. We can go to other Fortune 500 companies and do exceptionally well. You mentioned your boss earlier, Thea, being a Hampton alum.
Yeah.
All right, and look at all the Hampton alums that are doing things, and not just Hampton, all the Black college alums that are doing significant and have significant contributions to society. It's something we should all be proud of and know that we have a home, and no matter what HBCU you go to.
And Brian, when you bring up affirmative action, I think it's so important to note that it's not that Black students, Black or brown students, don't belong to be to be at a university because they didn't have the stats to prove that they should be there. They do belong there. Right? And affirmative action is not saying, oh, well, you would not have gotten into the school any other way, X, Y, and Z, but it's just making sure that the students who deserve to be there are there, and they do. And I just feel like, we see all these other reasons why students are being admitted to these universities, these PWIs. And a lot of times it will be like, family went there, somebody made a donation. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes financially for students to be there. And students who belong to be there, you shouldn't have to feel like, oh, they don't want me there. I've heard heard so many different stories now about students who, were being recruited as athletes, and then you hear something the coach said about, oh, well, now maybe I don't have to. It's just ridiculous, the things that people have to go through. So that's why I think it's really important, and I love the fact that you guys are recruiting these students from HBCUs to come to Prudential.
And the exciting part, I know Shané hasn't mentioned it, but they have the Prudential Fellows that are students at Hampton that are coming home for the game. And they want to make sure, they say, can we get our fellows back? And they're coming
Y'all better
home
win.
for the game.
That's all I know.
We will. We will.
We better win. That's absolutely.
I'm going to be on Monday, okay? I'm going to be like, listen, we're
Now,
going
the
to run
coaches
this
are
back.
talking. The coaches are talking a lot.
I
I hear there's a lot of talk
love
coming
it.
from
I love
Grambling,
it.
and there's a lot of talk in Hampton.
I got to bring some Grambling people up here because it's fair time.
Went to
Oh yeah,
Grambling.
we have family who went to Grambling.
I have family, but I'm rooting for Hampton.
All right, anybody have any predictions on the game?
I'm gonna let y'all go first. I
We're
mean,
gonna
you
win.
know where I'm.
But I
gonna
need
win.
I need something more,
You want to score?
yeah.
I'll give
leave
one.
I
that
like to
you.
bet.
All right, look, I'm gonna say Hampton 34, Grambling 31.
Okay,
you think it's
so
gonna be
close.
I think
close
it's
Because
gonna
I'm
be
going to
close.
run this back. So I just
It's gonna be
okay.
it's gonna be a close game. It's
You're
gonna
an
be a lot of
athlete, so we're
scoring.
looking at you.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. I'm gonna say Hampton 34, Grambling 31.
Okay, what about the Battle of the Bands?
Oh, the battle.
Oh,
Now,
that's
That's a
the
whole
I
other
ain't gonna lie,
conversation.
that's
That's a whole other conversation.
That's the part I
The
care
force.
about.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a whole
the Battle
other
of the Bands.
That's a vibe, and let me tell you, in that everyone's a winner.
Yes,
that is true.
absolutely,
That is
absolutely,
true.
Absolutely, and the full halftime show will be broadcast as well, which is
Wonderful.
exciting. That usually on TV, they show only part of the halftime show. They're showing the full. Both bands will get their just
Oh,
due.
excellent.
Oh, very
Excellent.
On
nice.
Saturday
Very
afternoon.
nice.
Excellent.
Where can people watch, and where can people get tickets?
All right, so to watch the game, it could be on NFL Network this Saturday, wherever NFL Network is on your local broadcast. It's at 3 p.m. kickoff. Tickets at brickcityclassic.com. You
Okay.
can get your tickets at brickcityclassic.com.
All right, and once again, any last things that y'all want to plug before we wrap up?
Well, I just want to reinforce just the importance of this conversation and the idea that this is our moment as a community, and this idea that Black people, Black Americans are really focused on building wealth. It's in every conversation I've had. To be able to do that as a community, have those community conversations, that's why we thought it was important to support a campaign like Blueprints to Black Wealth, but also support trusted institutions where people really draw from those networks to learn more information, to connect. And HBCUs are a critical part of that component for us at Prudential.
And Gayle, lastly, what have you seen differently as far as the mindset and investing in the past couple of decades, from when you first started in your position to where people are now?
Well, I can say one thing with, for example, the women market. So, for example, patriarchs historically would always will their assets to their son and son-in-law. And due to the fact that women are now being highly educated, not just here in the domestically, but around the world, now a lot of the money is being allocated to women, not to mention women are now in the workforce. We're making money for ourselves. But with that in mind, we're also educating each other. So one of the trends is that I love that the female market has more of a voice, and we're starting to become even better savers because we now are partnering with financial advisors, and we're also talking amongst ourselves as opposed to not just shopping or cooking. We're also having financial conversations, and I'm hearing more of that. And that's more of a trend.
Yes, I love it. I got my whole all-woman team investing, so that's amazing to me.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I hope we continue to have these conversations and we do a lot more together. I appreciate you all for
thank
coming up
you.
here.
And I would like to also say that, of course, I've been at Prudential for 11 years. I want to personally say thank you to Prudential for all that you've done in the community, but it also warms my heart because I am a Hampton alumni strong, 1994. Of course, I went to NYU, but Hampton is very dear to me. To have Prudential as well as Hampton join forces as a family, and again, it has not just happened overnight. This has been well over 10 years.
Absolutely.
It's been over millions of dollars that have been invested in our community, but also within Hampton University, which I'm very proud of. So we'll be servicing that community as well as recruiting. But again, I just wanted to say thank you to Prudential as well as the Hampton blend. So it's the best of my both worlds. Hampton
Yes,
and
Prudential.
Pearl.
Put your money where your mouth is.
If I could, just on behalf of the Brick City Classic team, I want to thank Prudential as well, because they have been a true corporate partner as we bring this game. And I think for us to continue it, we need everybody to get out. We need to see people out at the game on Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, brickcityclassic.com to get your tickets. But most important, thank you for being such a great partner for the work we're doing together to change our community, raise awareness about HBCUs, but also focusing on increasing Black wealth.
I'm glad y'all brought this game back too. I think it does bring a lot of attention to it. But I remember back in the day,
family event.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
such a big deal.
Bring the family out.
It's a family event. It's going to have a good time.
Yeah, so we hope everyone comes out and joins us, because we'll all be at the game.
Exactly.
BrickCityClassic.com, and you guys can come out and tailgate too, because y'all know that's part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gates open at 9 a.m.
All right, it's Way Up with Angela Yee. Thank y'all so much for coming through. And I will see y'all at the game.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.